smile when I'm feeling down. You give me such a vibe, it's totally bona fide. It's not the way you walk, and it ain't the way you talk. It ain't the job you got that keeps me satisfied. You love me so good, and that's what takes me high. Higher than I've been before. Your love that keeps me alive. Thought I should let you know that you're touching me so much. When I'm all night, it's you always thinking of. Ooh, baby. I want you to understand how I feel, yeah, deep inside. Oh, you made me feel what I need to feel, yes, in my heart. You love and feel so good, and that's what takes me high. Higher than I've been before. Your love that keeps me alive. Thought I should let you know that you're touching me so much. When I'm all night, it's you always thinking of. Ooh, baby. You love me so good, and that's what takes me high. Higher than I've been before. Your love that keeps me alive. Thought I should let you know that you're touching me so much. When I'm all night, it's you always thinking of. You love it so good, and that's what takes me high. Higher than I've been before. Your love that keeps me alive. Thought I should let you know that you're touching me so much. When I'm all night, it's you always thinking of. You love it so good, and that's what takes me high. Higher than I've been before. Your love that keeps me alive. Thought I should let you know that you're touching me so much. When I'm all night, it's you always thinking of. Ooh, baby.
Hello. 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 Welcome back. Thanks for that throwback. Oh, you're welcome. We'll have a good throwback. We'll have a good throwback, don't we? Greetings and salutations. Oh yeah, my apologies for the confusion. When I got Twitch Partner, they finally allowed me to change my emote prefix. Can't tell you how much it bothered me that there was a number in my emote prefix. One of my primary motivators to get partner was to finally get rid of that number from my emote prefix. Can't tell you how much of a mark of shame that was. Having an emote, having a number in my emote prefix. I hated it. I hated it. Oh, did you see what I've said at the start of this stream? I'll scroll back up. Scroll back up here in a second. Let me get settled in real quick. We've got a special guest today. We've got a special guest here today. It's officially take your daughter to work day here on my show. We've got a special guest here today joining me for the stream. Look, there's some of you. She'll just hop up onto my shoulder and ride me around the house. I think she just likes the vantage point. She likes the warmth. She'll just hop up onto my shoulders and just ride me around. So will Beaver, but Beaver won't stay up there. Like, she'll stay up there for a long time. Like, she'll just get comfortable. I think it's because she's littler. She's got more space to lay out up on my shoulders. What Beaver will do is Beaver will jump. I've been training him to jump onto my shoulders, and he can make it a good 6 feet. He can, not 6 feet up, 6 feet, long way. I've been training him to jump off the counter onto my shoulder, and then I'll get a little bit further away. I've been playing with magnetic tiles with the babies I've been hanging out with. I never had this type of toy as a kid, but it's really fun. You should ask their parents, can I keep this? This is actually so much fun. Does your baby like this? Isn't she so cute? Her winter coat is coming in and it's so fluffy. You know, she was still growing last winter. She was still, you know, she wasn't a full-grown cat yet. And so I'm interested to see just how fluffy she gets when she gets that winter coat as a full-grown cat. She'll be 2 in April. Alrighty. Those ones? No. You need a hard-boiled egg? Oh, he took the one that was in the microwave? Oh, there's another hard-boiled egg, but it's up by the butter. Yeah. Oops. I made Casey's lunch and left it in the microwave, and I got 8. Whoops. Pretty positive one of my friends has died in the war yesterday. Damn. Fuck war. If I may be so bold. Very brave take of me. Yeah, fuck war. Especially all of the pointless wars that we're caught up in right now. Your father's friends with, you know, same kind of shit. Still tragic. It doesn't really matter. Like, no matter the age of the person, dying in war is a tragedy. Normally, people tend to, you know, you tend to have more sympathy whenever it's like younger people dying in war, because it's like, it's just very tragic, obviously. You know, they had their whole life ahead of them. They were just this innocent child, and they died in war, and that is incredibly frustrating. But I feel like we often overlook when older people die in war as well, because that happens. And, like, you gotta think that this person who died in war at an old age, it's like, they probably lived a pretty rough life leading up to that point. And then just to have it all end as a casualty in war, that's just really sad to me. You have this whole narrative, and then the end of it is they died in war. It sucks. Because if you're 80 years old and you're dying in war, those those pre-war years probably weren't that good. You know, you were probably living in a rough part of the world, because that's where the wars tend to break out, is, you know, a bit more, you know, isolated, rural, you know. It's always the poor people dying in war. Yeah. War is a racket. It is a racket that is designed as a way to, you know, sell bullets, sell weapons, sell body armor, sell gasoline. You know, sell everything, basically. Because in war, you don't just need bullets and gasoline. You need food, you need medical supplies, you need, you know, transportation. War is business. I believe that, yeah, if you are pro-war, you should have to go to war. Only the people who are pro-war should be conscripted. You have to be pro-war. Just send all the pro-war people against each other. Meanwhile, all of the sane, rational, peaceful people, you know, will just be over here waiting it out. You gotta think, humanity has had how many thousands of years now to, like, get war out of their system, and it's still just, you know, just still going on. And not only is it going on, but the weapons that they're using are just becoming increasingly more terrifying. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of seeing drone footage of just, like, people getting blown up in trenches. I'm like, this is a nightmare. And what are we doing this for? Dirt? Are we doing this over dirt? Are we doing it over the stuff that's under the dirt? You know, sometimes you fight for dirt, you need more dirt. Sometimes you fight for water, you need more water. Sometimes you fight for the stuff that's under it. You know, maybe you want to dig it out. Killing people over dirt. Idiotic. It's idiotic, really. Anyway, TLDR, war, bad. I'm kind of hopeful that future wars will just be robots and drones. And then whoever runs out of robots first loses. That's a terrible idea, because you know what that means? You're going to have to start building more robot factories. If you're going to make more robots than they make, you're going to have to start building your own robot factories. And that's how you end up with a giant hive city that's just pumping out robots. No, I think the best way to do it would be to actually, instead of inventing robots of war, instead of inventing killing robots, we should invent robots that know how to do stuff for us, so that we don't have to fight. We should just enter the post-scarcity era, which, I mean, we're honestly in already. We throw away more food than we eat. Robots don't win wars. Yeah, what wins wars is how long are you willing to hide in a cave? Are you willing? Because the thing about war is, like, nobody wants to go to war in places where there are a bunch of fucking caves. That's just a nightmare scenario. You know, to have to, like, invade someone's homeland where they've got the home field advantage, and not only that, but there's a bunch of fucking caves. It's like, no thank you. Like, that's gonna be booby trap city, brother. People would rather just like, you know what? Stay in your caves. We'll just go wage war somewhere else. And that's kind of what we're doing. You'll never win a war of attrition if you don't fully commit to occupation. And then that hold that you have after you occupy is only so strong. It's only as strong as the, you know... No. I don't see why live and let live is such a hard concept to follow. It makes no sense to have endless war. Well, that's how you make endless profit from war, is to just keep it going. The forever war, it's very profitable. It's a driving force in our upgrades to technology. That and porn, ironically. Fucking and fighting are the two major motivators behind human intervention, or innovation. The two main factors for human innovation. Fucking and fighting. What is the reason for the profit? They just want a bigger pile of money to sit on top of. No, actually, what a lot of these psychopaths want is to find a way to live forever. A lot of these, like, ultra wealthy people, they want to live forever. They want to unlock immortality. They're trying to build God or some shit. I don't fucking know. I found extensive court documents that someone close to me is dating a sexual predator. He admitted to it and was convicted, and I don't know how to tell this person how bad it is. It was multiple women, and I think he tried to play it off like a drunk mistake. I mean, if that's something that's on your record, I feel like that's something you should be transparent with your partner about, because I feel like that's something that you should. I mean, if they're a registered sex offender, it's all public information. Anybody can access those records. They take a lot of your privacy rights away if you're a sex offender. You can find out your name, your address, all of that stuff. I don't understand the lengths people will go to assault people. It's just, like, it's not hard to just not it's not hard to not sexually assault people. It's actually incredibly easy. Just don't do it. But there are some people who are just like, I don't know. Or they find ways to, like, rationalize it or excuse their behavior. It's like twisted. We got in an argument before I knew about different reasons, and I fear she will defend him because I don't like him already. Yeah, I feel like that person should know who they're in a relationship with. Because I feel like if you have something like that on your record, it's only gonna be a matter of time before it gets out. You can't really keep those things secret forever. So I feel like if you're gonna be in a relationship with somebody, it's best to just, like, address that pretty early. Be like, yeah, this happened a long time ago. I really regret it. You know, I've done a lot of work since then. I've gone to therapy, etc. find transparency to be the best policy. Alrighty, everybody. We are a day into the new year. Off to a great start, huh? Off to a great start. Everything going according to plan so far. How are you feeling today? Dad has fallen down the YouTube hole where all of his recommendations are now QAnon conspiracy videos. The way that the algorithms will drive that shit, the way that so many older people are getting brainwashed by it, it honestly feels criminal. Yeah, it's really frustrating talking to older people when they get really into those conspiracy theories because have I done a topic on this? This is something that I should talk about. This is something I should do a presentation on. Have I done one on conspiracy theories? No. Let me make a note. I need to make a note of this. Note to self. My recommendation is if you're gonna go down a content rabbit hole, try to go down one that serves you. You know, not one that's based on conspiracy and fear. You know, that sounds like a very anxious place to spend your time. You know, thinking about all of the shadowy forces that are pulling the strings behind the curtain. Feeling guilty because I keep forgetting to go into Discord, check out peer support. I'm struggling with healthy eating. You know, 'tis the season to, you know, 'tis the season. Yeah, I could go on about conspiracy theories. I could go on about conspiracy theories. It really is a rabbit hole. It does just go deeper and deeper. It has to do with a certain mechanism of the human mind. We don't like an unanswered question. An unanswered question is really bothersome to us. And so what that leads people into is going further and further into these pursuits of knowledge. You know, you are seeking truth. And what ends up happening is, with conspiracy theories, you're dealing with a lot of unanswerable questions. You're probably never going to find out, you know, unless it becomes disclosed, unless it becomes, you know, declassified or whatever. But then, even then, you're still going to have people who might not believe it because, well, it could be fake. They could have faked it, you know. It's just, it always goes one step deeper, one step deeper. And I think what can be helpful in talking to, you know, parents or relatives who might get pulled into these rabbit holes is kind of talking to them about how they are self-reinforcing. You know, we hate an unanswered question. It eats at us. It's like, I gotta figure it out. I gotta know what it is. Somebody tell me. And then so you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper in chasing, you're digging for truth. You're digging and digging and digging to try to find that truth. But the real truth is actually up on the surface. You're going in the wrong direction. If you really want to know what's true, just look into your heart. Just ask your heart. Your heart knows. The mind has no answers, and the heart asks no questions. Ask them if the people in these communities make them feel good to interact with. That's a really good point. It gives a sense of community. They have whole festivals and conventions for conspiracy theories and the supernatural and the paranormal. This meme really kind of captures the conspiracy theory drive within humans. That feeling of like, I should have just gone, if, you know, I can't give up if I just go a little bit further. If I just go a little bit further, I'll hit the mother lode. This is the reason why people get hooked on gambling. This is why people go down conspiracy theory rabbit holes. It's just that feeling of like, if I just go a little bit further, it's really going to pay off all that work I've done. Another word for that is sunk cost fallacy. Put a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of energy into this thing. It's going to have to pay off. Like the show Lost. Honestly, for all the hate it gets, I do still love that show. That's also why people stay in bad relationships. That too. That too. I'm the throat goat and everyone is going to hear that song. Well, congratulations on the title. Today, our presentation, we're going to go a bit deeper into a concept that we talked about yesterday. Yesterday, we talked about New Year's, it was New Year's Day, we were talking about resolutions and all that. And one of the things that we mentioned was how these types of milestones are psychologically satisfying. And so I wanted to explore that topic a little deeper today. We're going to talk about the fresh start effect. So this will be a good one, but until then, let's see what's. My dad is technology deficient and sends texts that don't send. I don't know how he does it. I don't know, does he go down to the basement or something to send messages and it's like, oh, there's no signal down here. Oh, that message never sent. Whoops. What would you say is the key to a positive mind? I've got a few keys. I've got a whole key ring full of keys. I wouldn't say that there's one single key. Let's talk about some keys. One of the keys to maintaining a positive mind is persistence. You gotta be persistent. You can't be a quitter. You gotta keep going. You gotta keep trying. Another key to a positive mind is repetition. Start pointing out to yourself when you're having a good time. When you're in a good mood, make a note of it. I'm having so much fun right now. I feel really good today. I'm having a great day so far. I'm feeling pretty happy. Make a note of it, point it out to yourself. You gotta think, if I were a version of me with a more positive mind, how would they think? What types of thoughts would they be having? Those types of thoughts. So if you want to start having those types of thoughts, start suggesting them to yourself. If you want to become that more positive version of you, you gotta learn how they think. So find out how they think and start practicing it. I would also say to always try to find the silver lining. Try to find that silver lining in any situation. I would say that a really important part of becoming a more positive person is to learn what that would look like for you. What would you look like? You know, what would you be thinking? What would you be doing? How would you be standing? How would you be, holding yourself if you had a little bit more of a positive mind? And you might be thinking, well, I don't know. Okay, that's normal. Think about it, though. Figure it out. This isn't something you need to necessarily know right away. Some ideas might come to you pretty quickly. What would you say a more positive version of you? All right, question for you. Let's do a little visualization exercise. Let's say that there is a version of you in the near future. This could be a few weeks. This could be a few months. This could even be a few days, depending on, how far we need to go. This version of you is 10% more positive. 10% more positive. All right, so first thing, let's figure out, where am I at right now on my positivity level? How positive of a person am I? If I had to rate myself, how would I rate my positivity versus my negativity? What's my balance? 60-40, 70-30, 50-50? There is such a thing as too much positivity. If you have just too much positivity, it's like you're not being real. You're being kind of fake. We would look at that as a more like toxic positivity. Refusal to admit the reality of a situation. So there is a time and a place for negativity. But we don't need to allow it to be the major driving force for us. We can allow positivity to shift the balance. So this version of you that's 10% more positive, what are they like? What sort of stuff do they think about? What sort of stuff do they do? When they wake up in the morning, what do they think? What's the first thing they go do? If you want to become that person, learn how to be that person. Study them. Use that imagination. I love toxic optimism. I want something and assume I'm going to get it. Being optimistic and having those assumptions isn't always bad, but sometimes you need to accept the reality of a situation. Goals are more attainable when they're realistic. If you're homeless, addicted to drugs, living under a bridge in LA, and you're like, I'm gonna make it in this city, I'm gonna be a movie star, I'm gonna be on the silver screen. You might need to take a reality check and see that maybe the path I'm on just isn't gonna go there. Maybe it's a bit too much of a long shot. Maybe I need to bring it back in a little bit. But what positive? I don't understand, like people pleaser. When I say positive, I mean, just enjoying life. Being nice to people, being nice to yourself, doing acts of kindness for others. Being more uplifting and less of a put down. Sorry, my glasses are rose colored. All right, well, first off, let me just say, My glasses are rose-colored and the only path I see is the gold brick road to the Emerald City. But if you were wearing rose-colored glasses, then the red would overlap with the yellow of the brick road and it would be the orange brick road. So you would see an orange path because of the rose-colored glasses. The problem with wearing rose-colored glasses is that it makes red flags just look like regular old flags. Like Frumpa talks about negativity of the mind and positivity of the will, but I think that's about political projects mostly. Yeah, that's kind of what you have to adopt when you're dealing with large groups of people. You have to accept that when you're dealing with large groups of people because there's going to be a lot of frustration there, and so yeah, you that's how you operate. But when you're operating with just you, that negativity of the mind is not helping you. It's okay to be a bit nicer to yourself. Because one of the things that I've noticed amongst the good people that I've known in my life, they're way too hard on themselves. And I recognize that because they're so hard on themselves, that's part of why they are such a good person. They really want to believe that they're a good person because they're so hard on themselves. They hyperanalyze their flaws and they feel, you know, the guilt of any wrongdoing they've ever done. But it's okay to be a bit nicer to yourself. Are you gonna be nice to a society that is dog shit? I'm gonna call them out. Go for it. Honestly, that's fine. I'm not saying you have to be nicer to a broken system. I'm saying be nicer to you. I've got another thing. Another key for a positive mind. Recognize when you're being overly negative. You know, be honest with yourself. If you're being overly negative, if you're bringing down the energy in the room, if you're at a party and everybody's having fun and laughing and they're like, hey, did you hear about this terrible thing that happened? Did you hear about all those people that died? Now, there is a time and a place to talk about that stuff, but just be mindful of when and where. All I know are terrible things. Well, then keep learning. You've shown that you can learn, so keep at it. Keep going. Animal facts, you know, bird facts. Give the people what they really want to hear. A fact about their favorite bird. Cutie Cheeks finally made it in. Alright, good, because we're talking about something that you found interesting yesterday. We're expanding on a topic that we touched on yesterday when we were talking about resolutions. We were talking about how starting something at the beginning of a cycle is psychologically satisfying. So today we're going to dive deeper into why that is. Why is it psychologically satisfying? The fresh start effect. So, a bit of positive psychology today. We're going to talk about what this is, how to utilize it. You know, whether or not the world is going to shit, we don't have to go to shit with it. You know what I mean? Like, if the Titanic is sinking, don't you want to be the one up on the deck playing the violin, just like... Did you know that all birds have perfect pitch? Oh yeah, because it's like their code. It's kind of like whales will do that too. Like whales will have certain pitches and frequencies that they can recognize as other whales. There was a whale that had the wrong frequency and they couldn't talk to other whales. That was kind of sad. Jennifer with the raid. Hey, what's going on? Hey, welcome in, raiders. Welcome in. You're right on time. We're right on time. Welcome to the brain domain. Welcome to the brain domain. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, everyone. Am I just starting? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you're right on time. You're right on time. Today we're expanding on a topic that we briefly touched on yesterday. We were talking about New Year's resolutions. We were talking about what people wanted to do with the new year. We were talking about how to make that more effective. You know, talking about making good goals. And one of the things we touched on was that the beginning of a cycle is a psychologically satisfying time to make changes. And some people found that interesting. And so I'm like, all right, let's expand on that. Let's go ahead and go a little bit deeper into why that is. And so today we're going to talk about the fresh start effect. Everybody likes a fresh start. I'm primarily a mental health focused streamer and peer support specialist. Oh, nice. We love a good peer support specialist. Awesome. I actually do peer support in my Discord server. I have a few people that I've Hello from Iowa. Oh, hello from Iowa. I was just in Des Moines not that long ago. I flew a drone around downtown Des Moines, but it was too windy, and I had to take her down. We went up on the Capitol Hill. Alright, just making sure we go follow. Making sure we go follow. You've been following for a month and 17 days. You thought it was longer. You know, me too. I thought it was longer. I always say that to people. I'm like, you've only been here for 3 months? I feel like I've known you for years. Got a sleeping kitty on my desk. I can't be too loud. Well, welcome in. Welcome in. Oh yeah, I'll show Kitty before we get into it. I've got a special guest. It's Take Your Daughter to Work Day. Right now she's sleeping. A little shoulder rider. Isn't she gorgeous? Oh yeah, she's very distracting. Every time, whenever she sleeps on my desk when I'm streaming, I just want to like. All right, can't distract myself with the kitty. My cat's a shoulder rider too. Oh yeah, around here we do shoulder rider training. I've been training these cats. Miss Poopy and Beaver. I've been training them since they were kittens to ride on my shoulders. Syndra never really liked it. He'll hop from the floor into your arms. Oh no, that's cute. Now that's something I've always wanted to get a cat to learn how to do. Their claws hurt your shoulders. Not anymore. It used to, but I got used to it. All right, gamers. It's time. Let's get into the presentation. Let's talk about the fresh start effect. It's the new year. It's a fresh start. Oh, she's rotating. There you go. She does a 90 degree. Or no, she does a 180 degree. She does that about every hour. And she'll do that about 4 or 5 times. She'll sleep on my desk for 5 hours straight, and she'll just get up and rotate every hour or so. Alrighty. The fresh start effect. Let's talk about it. What does that mean? Today we're referring to a psychological phenomenon. This is that increase of motivation that you feel after a significant landmark, whether it be your birthday, the start of the week, the start of the year, the start of the season. You know, it's that boost you get from a milestone moment. That's what we're talking about. That boost that you get. So why does that boost exist? Why does that happen? We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about why that happens. What is it about a fresh start that really gives us that extra little bump of energy or motivation to change? Part of it has to do with, right, like identifying yourself as being in the moment. You recognize that I am in this moment that I am in. And it allows to create a distinction between past me and future me. I'm right here. There is a version of me that existed, and there is a version of me that is yet to be, and I'm in the middle. So these are a great indication, or these are a great inspiration for mindfulness. These milestone moments. And this is why mindfulness is something that's so important to practice. This is why it's so helpful, is because this is what really allows you to just be in that moment. These moments can also recognize a clean slate. Change can feel much more attainable when you're working with a clean slate. So this is why it's effective. This is why it gives us that boost. Let's go ahead and continue. Why do fresh starts work? Why are they helpful? First off, they serve as temporal landmarks. They are beacons within time. They're a sort of psychological bookmark that helps us to reflect on our lives. You know, when the new year comes around or when a holiday comes around, it makes you think of those past holidays, those past dates, you know, or whether it's your birthday, you know, this is what I'm doing on this birthday. Where was I last year? Where was I 5 years ago? What happened when I was, 8? It's a bookmark. It's something that you can link moments of time together by a consistent date. These can also help to provide us with a sense of clarity and renewed focus. Whether that be, you look back and you're like, things used to be better. I want things to be better again. Or you look back and you're like, I've come such a long way. Things used to be really hard, but look at where I'm at now. So whether things are trending upwards or downwards, they still allow you to have that sense of clarity and focus, recognizing where you are, understanding your trajectory, and moving forward into the future. A fresh start also allows for an identity shift. When these milestone moments come and we get to have that fresh start, we're able to distance ourselves from our past failures. We see those as a different part of ourselves, it's a different self. That was old me. And this can be a helpful way to, overcome those past failures. You recognize that that was old me. I'm current me, and I'm in the process of upgrading into new me. That upgrade might never finish. It'll probably still, it'll always be a work in progress. You'll always be loading. Hey, B-Wayne. Hey, B-Wayne, how's it going? Wayne, thank you for the 32 months. Thank you for the 32 months. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. "32 months. All right, where were we? We're talking about that sense of identity shift. These feelings of a fresh start allows you to make a distinction between old me and new me. And what this shift allows you to do is feel more capable of change. If you get stuck in your old ways of thinking if you get stuck in your old behaviors, you know, separating yourself from that version of you can be a helpful way to move forward. Now, some might say that this is you not being genuine with yourself, and I would disagree. I would say that you being able to overcome and heal is actually a more genuine way to live. You don't need to punish yourself indefinitely for the things that you have done. It's okay to feel better. It's okay to let go. You just say, oh, that was the old me. Absolutely, that's what you do. You know, you catch yourself, or if you catch yourself acting like old you, would be like, actually, I'm acting like old me right now. What would new me do? It's a good way to make that distinction. It's a good way to identify the best course of action. Fresh starts also give you an increase in your motivation. The novelty of the event, it excites the brain. It helps to encourage action. New me would slap old me. No, I think new you would give old you a big hug and say, it'll be all right. Look how far we've come. I think that's what new you would do. I think old you would be the one doing the slapping. All right, let's talk about how we can harness the fresh start effect to make it work more to our benefit. We understand the psychological phenomenon. Let's talk about how we can make it work for us. Let's talk about how we can take advantage. Number 1, choose your fresh start moments. Beyond New Year's, we just had New Year's happen, so this is a good time to talk about this. But beyond that, take a look at other temporal landmarks. Birthdays, the start of a season, a transition point in your life, getting a new job, moving, starting school. The more of these types of moments you have for mindfulness and reflection and recognition of your progress, the better. Just tried to use the WASD keys to move on your spreadsheet. Oh, you've got Stardew brain. I think that's the future of the digital workplace, is to gamify those tasks. Imagine how much work you could do if you were actually able to get accounting work done, but in a Stardew Valley format. Just saying. Just saying. You want people to work, make work more fun. So number 1 is to have more fresh start moments, if that's what you're into. We're talking about how having that feeling of a fresh start can be beneficial. It can make you more motivated. It can make you reflective. It can help you recognize your progress, accomplish change. So whether it be a birthday, the start of a season, the start of a new job, or the first day of the month, the first day of a week, try to have those fresh starts. Imagine if someone paid me for all the housework I do. The way that I look at that is, look at all the money I'm saving at not having to pay someone to clean up after me. If I want to make money cleaning, I have to go clean other people's houses. No.
Penny, come on.
Oh, Penny. Reward is the cleanliness and peace. Oh yeah, absolutely. Giving yourself the gift of a clean home. Reminding yourself that you're worth the work. You know, if you're having a hard time with people cleaning up after themselves, I would suggest talking to them about it. Because in reality, you're not asking for much, you're just asking for some small changes. You know, instead of leaving trash out on the counter, put it in the trash can. Maybe rinse your plate off before you put it in the sink. I don't mind washing it, just rinse it off so that I don't have to scrub it. You know, just stuff like that. Just communicate it. You're not asking for a lot. You're making reasonable requests. As men get older, they leave snot rags around the house. You know, maybe a nice set of handkerchiefs. Maybe if you got them a nice set of handkerchiefs, they would show them a little bit more respect and not just absentmindedly leave them places. All right, number 2. Let's talk about reflecting on your past. Use those moments of a fresh start to look back and see what went well and what didn't go so well. You know, what were your goals for the last, the last week, the last month? See, when the benefit of adopting this fresh start mindset on a more regular basis is it gives you an easier length of time to like look back on. You're like, all right, how far have I come this month? Instead of looking back in like the entire year, things could start to get a little jumbly. So what went well? What didn't go so well? What did we learn? What sort of stuff do you want to change moving forward? Ask yourself, what do I want to be this year? And what small habits can I build to get there? I allow my husband a corner where he sits to leave his mess, and this corner is full of cans and trash. My suggestion would be take a trash can and put it near that. Just to, leave a hint. Here you go. I saw you had a bunch of trash there, so I brought the trash can over for you. I thought that would help you clean it. I've had to do that before, and I've found it to be very effective. If you need somebody to clean something up, give them a trash can, give them a trash bag, and say, here you go. Well, I just saw all this trash, and I assumed you were going to pick it up. So I brought you a trash bag. Do you need a hand cleaning it up? They're like, no, I got it, but that's the way you do it. They're like, hey, I was just doing some cleaning, and I saw, I thought maybe you would want to clean up this area over here, so I brought you a bag. Do you need a hand with it? They're like, no, I got it. That's where their pride kicks in. They're like, oh no, I got it. And then they're... I should. I already say ew when I look at the corner. Well, then do something about it. Hand the man a trash bag and say, here you go, buddy. You need a hand? You know, if you want to, you know, there are ways that we can solve these problems, and it doesn't have to be an argument, it doesn't have to be a fight, it doesn't have to be a big blow up. What I find to be more helpful is, you know, if you're trying to get somebody to do more cleaning, do it while you're cleaning, and then be like, hey, I'm just doing some cleaning. Would you mind giving me a hand with that over there? Would you mind throwing that stuff here? Oh, here's a bag for you. Just start delegating. Wives, you gotta remember that your husbands are waiting for orders. You know, they're good orders takers, so delegate to them. They will listen to you. Men might gripe and act like they don't want to do it, but men love getting orders. They love being told that they're a good boy. They love getting a pat on the head and say, "Aw, see, you did such a good job." They might not act like they want to do it, but they want direction. That's what they want, so give it to them. Tell them what to do. My husband says it just turns him on when I yell. Oh, well, then don't yell at him if you want, because doing that is not going to make him want to clean. That's going to be very distracting, so I would suggest doing it quietly. Let's take a moment to reflect real quick. Let's reflect. Who do I want to be this year? Who do I want to be this year? I want to be an even bigger mental health streamer. I want to be me, but better. I want to be me, but bigger. That's what I want to be. I want to be harder, better, faster, stronger. That's what I want to be. What small habits can I build to get there? Now you're getting me. Okay. The who do I want to be, that part's kind of easy, but the small habits I can build to get there, it's like, okay, now I got to get real. Now I got to sit down and start crunching numbers. Small habits, I need to make time to go to the gym at least 3 to 4 hours a week. I need to up my activity level. I need to up my energy level. And that's a big step for me to start doing that. So I'll start doing that soon. Honestly, I should probably just start doing it tomorrow. I shouldn't even put it off until Monday. I should start going tomorrow. Past relationship, I was heavily shamed for being messy and know how bad it feels, but now that I desire more cleanliness, I understand why others get angry about a mess. It's a difficult balance. Yeah, shame's not the way to go about it. And honestly, coming on because I was raised by a germaphobe. I was raised by a germaphobe, so one of the things that I had to recognize in growing up was that maybe my standards were affected by that. Maybe I can be a little bit too cleanliness focused in some areas. It's about finding a healthy balance, you know. Well, I think what's helpful is feeling like everyone that shares a residence with you gives a fuck about the place being clean. It's very frustrating if you feel like nobody else gives a shit. And if you just let it rot and you let it get messy, it would rot and get messy. That's very frustrating to feel like you're the only one that cares. Like, I understand about different standards of cleanliness. Like, some people want it clean right away. They hate to see a mess. They want to get it out of there. There's not a single dish in the sink. You know, scrub the counters constantly. You know, there's that level, and I'm definitely not at that level. But, you know, there are levels to, like, a standard for cleanliness, and, like, you don't want to like let that get down too far, otherwise it starts to become a literal health hazard to like live in filth. You know, this line of conversation just it makes a song come to mind. There's a certain song that comes to mind when we start talking about this topic. It's right on the tip of my tongue. There's a certain song that kind of really encapsulates this feeling of like, I shouldn't be cleaning up after you. Oh yeah, that's it. It's Ain't Your Mama by Jennifer Lopez. That's the one. I ain't gonna be cooking all day. I ain't your mama. I ain't gonna do your laundry. I ain't your mama. I had a roommate who would flip out if there were 3 crumbs on the counter from lunch. See, and that's also incredibly frustrating because you recognize that like the amount of energy and effort it would take that person to just clean 3 crumbs off the counter is way less than the amount of stress that they're putting onto you for making that mess. And so they've decided to escalate it and make it worse. It's like, dude, just if the crumbs on the counter bother you that much, just brush them off. Like, if you're flying off of the handle out of anger because there's a few crumbs on the counter, you could have saved yourself all that anger just by cleaning off those fucking crumbs, brother. It was counterproductive. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely counterproductive. I wish that people who responded in anger would recognize just how ineffective their approach is most of the time. Coming at people in an angry way rarely works. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a time and a place for a bit of sternness and directness, but if you're coming at somebody angry, they're just gonna back away from you and be like, okay, buddy. They're just gonna slowly back away from you. If I start having one of my fits about cleaning, I just run away. Yeah, no fits. Fits don't make fits make messes. Fits don't clean messes. If you're trying to clean with intent. You know, you're solving a problem. Throwing a fit makes more of a mess. The reason I'm not having roommates until I own the place. Yeah, having roommates can be terrible. Especially if they don't clean up after themselves. All right. We're going to talk about SMART goals a little bit more. We're going to talk about making good goals. If you really want to take advantage of that fresh start, that motivation you get from that milestone, we got to figure out how to set a good goal. And so this one actually has a whole slide of its own. We're really going to go through it. All right, so SMART goals. The S, specific. Clearly define your goals. If you are working towards a goal, the more specific you are with that goal, the better. Make sure you are defining it very clearly. For example, I want to exercise more. Instead becomes, I will walk for 30 minutes every weekday. That is a clearly defined goal. SMART goals, I learned this in school but never applied it. Oh, it's the best. If you're going to make goals, this is the way to do it. If you're not making your goals in a smart way, if you're not making your goals in a smart way, they're probably not going to work for you. If you're not making smart goals, you're making dumb goals. They're disastrous, unrealistic, meaningless, and backwards. Lived in a halfway house shelter for 2 years and they would not quit eating my damn pasta salad. I mean, looking back on it now, you could look at it and be like, there were people who were hungry and they enjoyed my cooking. You know, I feel like that's a good way to look back on it. Like, you know what? I fed the hungry even when I was at a low point in my life. I still brought people joy through my cooking. You know? Now that's a reframe. All right, so that's the S. We want specific goals. So be thinking about your goals right now. What's something you're working on? What's something you want to move towards? You know, I want to get more fit. I want, you know, a more organized routine. You know, I've got some goals myself. Let's make them more specific. We all got food stamps and free food, but they had to have my salad. That's because you were a chef. You brought them joy in a moment of darkness in their life, you know? Maybe they could have asked nicely instead, but maybe they weren't brought up to ask nicely for food. Maybe they dealt with food scarcity. Maybe they, you know, when we look back at hard points in our life, we can look back from a place of growth and understanding. See that even though things were stressful, we don't need to be stressed about them forever. All right, so that's the S for SMART goals. The M stands for measurable. This is something that's really important to do, is to have goals that you can measure. This is what allows you to track your progress. An example for this would be, instead of, I want to get better at writing, a goal would be, I will write 500 words a day. Because writing every day helps you to get better at writing, but this also makes it now a measurable goal. So think about the goals that you have and how can we make that a measurable goal? So for me, I would say I want to measure my gym attendance. I want to go to the gym 4 hours a week. Let's do 4 hours a week. Another good way to do it is to lower that number a little bit and then exceed it, because sometimes it feels even better to exceed your expectations. So maybe I should say I'll strive for 3 hours a week. And then when I go beyond that, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm so cool. Look at that, I did more than what I said I would. I can't see chat right now because Miss Poopy decided that she needed to wake up for her mid-nap bath. A stands for achievable. Make your goals realistic. You want them to be something that is actually attainable. We don't want to set a goal that's like, I'm going to run a marathon next month. Especially if you're not running near marathons right now. If you're not at that level, you shouldn't shoot that high. Let's be a bit more reasonable. Let's work up to training to do a 5K. And let's give us some time to train up to that. This also helps to make it more measurable. As you can see, like, the measurement aspect is contained in a lot of these. A lot of these examples have like numerical indicators. R stands for relevant. Your goals should be aligned with your values. Your goals should be aligned with your values. They should make sense to you. They should be relevant to your life and what you want to accomplish, what you want to achieve, what you're working towards. So if there's something you want to do, why do you want to do it? If you want to run a 5K, why do you want to run a 5K? If you want to become better at writing, why do you want to do that? Align it with what's important to you. If you want to learn French, why? I will practice French every day because I plan to travel to France this summer. You know, something like that. Just how come sometimes dumb goals work? Sometimes dumb goals work by sheer force of luck. Are you a psychologist? Oh, am I? Another thing to help your goals is time bound. You want a deadline for that goal. If your goal doesn't have a deadline, you've got all your life to work on it, and you don't have much motivation to actually get up and get started. So set a deadline for yourself. If you want to save money, for example, set a dollar amount, set a date. I want to save $200 by the end of March. As you can see, this makes the goal realistic. It makes it measurable. It makes it relevant. Oh no, deadlines. Exactly. Oh no, deadlines. Because as it turns out, deadlines are what give us motivation. One of the best ways to overcome procrastination is to make more deadlines for yourself. Break it up into pieces and then set deadlines for each of those pieces. Because if you've got your whole life to do that goal, you're probably not going to get started until the last possible minute, and then by then you're not really going to do your best work because you're rushing things. And then because you're rushing things, you're going to give up and not want to try again because you feel like it's impossible. So just think about these, okay? Think about your goals and think about how we can make those goals a little bit more finely tuned. I'll lose 10 kilograms by June. I think that's a good one. You could even split the difference and say I'll lose 5 by, March. Do you have any clinical experience or any experience in the science? I have my master's degree. I have my master's degree in psychology. I have worked in the mental health field for around 10 years. So yeah, I'm a psychologist. So this is how you make your goals into SMART goals, all right? So just when you're making goals for yourself, just try to remember, if I want to make this goal more achievable, if I want to make this goal happen, try to make it a SMART goal. All right, let's talk about some of the common pitfalls that happen. Let's talk about some of the ways that things get disrupted or things go wrong. Let's talk about how to avoid them. First things first, don't overload yourself. Having too many goals can lead to burnout. You've got too many things cooking. You only got so much room on your stove. Try to focus on just 1 or 2 priorities at a time. And it's okay to like make some progress in one area and then switch to another area in your life and bump that up a little bit, you know? Alternate. Jump around a little bit. It's all right. Number 2, plan for setbacks. You have to accept that progress isn't linear. It doesn't just go like this. Line go up. It goes like this. Setbacks are gonna happen. You know, if you're going to the gym, you're working out, you're running, some days you're gonna get sore. You know, maybe you run and you put a hole in your sneakers. You know, setbacks are gonna happen. Progress isn't linear. So plan for them. I beat myself up hard when I have a setback. Don't. That's my advice. Don't do that. It's part of the process. Especially if it's because of laziness. If it's laziness, the way that I reframe laziness is I just wasn't ready for it yet. I wasn't ready to do the work. I wasn't ready to commit to that change. I don't need to punish myself because I wasn't ready yet. I was getting ready. now I'm ready. I don't need to punish myself for not feeling ready before I was ready. You have to treat those setbacks as learning opportunities rather than failures. You know, setbacks are a part of the process. They're gonna happen. So learn from them instead of focusing on them and identifying as a failure because of them. It was a lot easier to forgive myself when I was younger, but now I can't help but notice patterns I should have broken by now. If it was so easy to break those patterns, you would have done it already. The fact of the matter is that breaking these patterns can sometimes take unexpected turns. Sometimes it can take, you know, alternative ways of thinking about a thing. Sometimes we have to realize a new perspective, and sometimes that can take a long time to do. That's part of the process. Even though it might not be completely broken by now, these old patterns might not be completely broken, they have been in the process of being dismantled. You know, you're not tearing it down in a day, you're dismantling it brick by brick. Are you rocking with New Year's resolutions, or do you think they replicate fads and fizzle out? Most of them do, actually. Most of them do fizzle out. That is undeniably true. And so what I'm hoping to do is to try to treat every day like a new year. Treat every day as a fresh start. A new day to learn. Gotta keep that momentum up. Celebrate those small wins to stay motivated. You know, even if you got up and just went to the gym and you're like, you know, I wanted to stay for an hour, but I only stayed for 30 minutes. It's still a win. It's more than 30 minutes is more than 0 minutes. You know, even if you're just up and you're just walking, like maybe you want to jog, maybe you want to run, but you're not quite there yet and you're just walking. Well, brother, you're still outlapping everybody on the couch. Celebrate those small wins. That'll help you to keep motivated. If you're just going to punish yourself for not being at the finish line already, that's not really helpful. That's not really going to help you to keep going. That's just going to make you want to quit. I got up and took my meds, and I consider that a win. That is unquestionably a win. That is an objective win. Take time to regularly revisit and adjust your goals as needed. Because when we set a goal for ourselves, sometimes things change. You know, sometimes we have a goal and it's like, I want to lose a certain amount of weight, right? And then you start going to the gym, you start working out, you start gaining muscle, and what you learn is that muscle weighs more than fat. And so I have a figure that I like now, but my weight has actually not changed that much. So it's like, do I need to keep focusing on losing weight? Or is it okay if I gain weight because I'm gaining muscle? So regularly revisit and adjust your goals as necessary. Like focusing solely on like the weight that you are is kind of a... I would rather you focus on like working out a certain amount of days a week, spending a certain amount of time exercising. That would be a much better serving goal than like, I want to lose X number of pounds, X number of kilos by this date. I would say just do what it would take to make that happen and then make that your goal. Instead of the goal being, I need to lose this weight, the goal should be, I'm going to go to the gym for this long, this number of days. I'm going to eat these foods instead of these foods. But yeah, the goal that we set at the beginning is not always the goal that we have at the end. It's normal for it to be adjusted or tweaked a little bit along the way. The goal of this mindset is to view every day as a fresh start. Miss Poopy, oh, she hit my keyboard and she closed. She said she's done with the presentation. She says she's learned enough. She said close it. Oh. There she goes again. She said she's over it. She said she's over it. She says her goal right now is to take a nap, and I'm making that difficult for her. All right. What we're going to talk about now is the goal here. The goal of having a better mindset of forming goals. The goals of the goal of this presentation, the goal of adopting this new mindset is to learn how to view every day as a fresh start, to view every day as a new milestone, so that you can have that motivation, that feeling of, you know, a clean slate going into every day. Fresh starts don't need to be limited just to those big milestones. Here are some things that you can try to help you feel a little bit more fresh and clean. If your space is cluttered, declutter it. Having a cluttered space makes for a cluttered mind. You're literally overstimulating yourself by having stuff all around you, because every little thing, whether or not you're actively perceiving it, every little thing around you is calling out to your attention. It's saying, hey, what are you going to do with me? This cup sitting over here, or this napkin sitting over there. It's like, where does that go? Where does that need to be? You have 1,000 little things calling out to your attention. So do some decluttering to clear your mind. Try starting a new morning routine. Productivity specialists, these are like neurologists and other people who are like, they're productivity specialists. They're kind of freaks, if you ask me. I don't want to get up and drink salt water in the morning to get the electrolytes or something. I don't know. That was what one of them would have you do. It's like you need to get up at 6 a.m., you need to go stare at the sun, and then you need to drink a glass of water with salt in it to give you a boost of electrolytes. It's like, okay, the science is there, but sometimes I don't want to min-max every moment of my life. Andrew Huberman type shit. Yeah, that's part of the Huberman routine. And the thing about those types of routines is that they're very min-maxy. If you're familiar with the psychological concept of min-maxing, or it's actually like it's a video game terminology. It's used in like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. Yeah, min-maxing is not for everybody. But there are some important things to take away from it. Recognize that in the morning, you have a spike in your cortisol levels. The act of waking up causes a stress response within you. It's part of how your body motivates you to get up and get out of bed, is it gives you a little bit of cortisol. It says, here, have a little bit of stress. Go on about your day. We're optimism maxing, and we are mindfulness pilled. Mindfulness pilled and optimism maxing. Just think about your morning routine and add something to it. Just add one thing to your morning routine. Whether it be going on a short little walk, taking time to just step outside and, get some sun, listen to the birds, You're not adding too much, and this isn't taking too much of your time. It's just a little something to help you get going, to help you wake up a little bit. Maybe a little stretching. In my self-care arc, we'd love to see it. We love to see it. I feel like self-care is going to be the next big thing. It's going to be the next big thing. So you got in early. It's gonna be everywhere soon. We're gonna have people from all over the place coming and saying, "Oh, Brain Domain. Oh, Papa B, tell us, how do we take better care of ourselves?" And I'll be like, well, I don't know. Journaling is something that I have been meaning to do more. I just have a hard time sitting down and doing it, but I do have a journal, and the last thing that I journaled was the day that I got Twitch partnered. I made sure to write that down. Taking some time to journal can help to document. It can help to reset your focus. You don't have to do it every day. Maybe you could do it every week. Quick, write a book. I'll write a book eventually, I think. I just have to get bored enough. Make little goals for yourself. You could call them micro goals. Little things that help to renew your sense of purpose on the day-to-day. Whether it be, cleaning off the counter, putting the dishes that are in the sink into the dishwasher, throwing in a load of laundry, turn your maintenance into little micro goals. In acknowledging that every day is a fresh start, you're able to better harness that motivation that stems from that fresh start effect. So try to view every day as a fresh start. It'll help you to feel more motivated, find it more psychologically rewarding. And last but not least, keep up that momentum. The hardest part really is getting started. Getting started is the hardest part. You got no inertia. You got no momentum. Getting started is the hardest part. But once you get started, it's easier to keep going. Keep that momentum going. All right. Closing thoughts. Fresh starts remind us that change is always possible. You know, whether we're 20, whether we're 40, whether we're 60 or 80, that feeling of a fresh start can still happen. Change is always possible, right up until the end. Change is not only possible, it is inevitable. Thank you, Mike, for subscribing. This is true. Not only is change inevitable, we have a hard time recognizing that within ourselves. Because the change that happens to us is more often than not very gradual. And we have a hard time noticing gradual change. If you look back at milestones in your life, like look back at you when you were a teenager, look back at you when you were in your 20s, and you're like, what the hell was I thinking? What the hell was I wearing? What was I doing with my hair? It's like, well, you are you as you are today. Biggest change I'm recognizing is the gut I've got now. Oh yeah, that's why I got a sympathy gut. I got a solidarity gut going. The way I like to look at it is I gained a little bit of weight because I needed something to do. I needed to go lose it. I was giving myself something to do. It was fun to gain the weight, and now I'm gonna have fun losing the weight again. You know, I'm enjoying the ups and the downs, like any good roller coaster. All my extra weight goes right to my midsection. Honestly, same. I get it in my thighs. I get it in my love handles. All right, it's six-pack season. Get to crunching. Chad, we're on a hype train right now, just so you know, in case you didn't notice. Fresh starts are an opportunity to step into a more intentional and empowered version of yourself. It's a mindfulness practice. Ultimately, what we're getting at here when we're talking about this psychological phenomenon is this is mindfulness. We are recognizing where we are in the moment that we are in, and we view that moment as a moment that is full of potential. From this moment, I can find myself in any other number of possible moments. The future lies ahead of me, and I get to pick my course. Don't worry, we're gonna be looking good by bikini season. I'm gonna be in bikini shape in no time. I'm gonna be looking good. I'm gonna have my cans out, like, hey boys, you know what I mean? Can't wait. I'm gonna have you all like hummina, 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 awooga. Small, consistent steps are the important part of making long-lasting changes. Sometimes life will take you into places where you have to make big choices and you have to make rapid changes, and those moments always suck. So just remember to make it manageable. Consistency is key. Treat every day like a fresh start. I'm struggling to get back into routine. Plantarex, thank you for subscribing, by the way. I was rambling when you subscribed. Thank you. Sobered off weed officially after 10 plus years of almost daily use. Never thought I'd feel so much better just after a few days. Got back into socializing, dating, and seeing friends in such a short amount of time. Thanks for your stream, Brain. Thank you for being you. The other thing is if you treat every day like a fresh start, you'll always have beginner's luck. See, there you go. In meditation practices, they'll teach you about the concept of embracing the beginner's mind. You know, embracing that mindset that you had when you're new at something. You know, be inquisitive, be active, be curious. You know, be excited. That's what it is to be a beginner. So try to adopt that mindset and approach everything with that mind of a beginner. You know, what can I learn about this? It comes from Zen Buddhism. The concept is referred to as Shoshin from Zen Buddhism. It refers to having an attitude of openness, eagerness, and lack of preconceptions when studying, even at an advanced level, just as a beginner would. The practice of Shoshin acts as a counter to the hubris and closed-mindedness often associated with thinking of oneself as an expert. This includes the Einstellung effect, where a person becomes so accustomed to a certain way of doing things that they do not consider or acknowledge new ideas or approaches. You'll see this sometimes in like old doctors or like old judges. They'll get really set into their worldview or their way of thinking. They become so accustomed to the procedure that they become resistant to new ideas and approaches. So this is why you want to approach the world with that beginner's mind. Be open to new possibilities. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few. Is this why I do things perfectly the first time and progressively get worse when learning a skill? You're just becoming more aware of your lack of skill. You're not actually getting worse, you're just becoming more aware of how bad you are. So yeah, there's a good book. It's called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. It's, you know, pretty straightforward. It's just got a lot of thoughts and teachings from Zen Buddhism. There's probably a whole ass PDF of it. Hold on. Yoink. This is a fun little book. It's here we go. People say that practicing Zen is difficult, but there is a misunderstanding as to why. It is not difficult because it is hard to sit in the cross-legged position or to attain enlightenment. It is difficult because it is hard to keep our mind pure and our practice pure in its fundamental sense. Like, do you remember when you were younger and things just made more sense? Even though the world was confusing and had all sorts of questions and all sorts of mysteries, things just made more sense. Kind of like that. It's one of Tom York's Desert Island books. Oh, it would be. Oh my god, I need to turn up my microphone. Can you hear this dog snoring back here? Hold on. All right, I think he stopped. I was trying to capture it on the microphone. Atticus was sleeping and he was just going. He was zonked. He was just letting her rip. In many ways, seeking enlightenment or seeking Zen is merely a return to yourself. You are returning to a state of innocence, purity. Don't be afraid to be weak. Don't be too proud to be strong. Just look into your heart, my friend. It'll be the return to yourself, the return to innocence. Shout out to the hit song by German musical group Enigma and their 1993 album, The Cross of Changes. Do you think enlightenment is real? Yes. But let me explain. Enlightenment is easy, but once you feel enlightened, what you realize is there is even more depth and complexity to that. There are now levels to it. I can become more enlightened. It's not a binary state. It's not either I am enlightened or I am not enlightened. It's how enlightened am I? So it is real, but how enlightened you can become is to be determined. There are people who make this their life's mission is to see how enlightened they can be. And I don't think that there's any limit to it, actually. I saw this guy, Daniel Ingram, say he is enlightened. Now, the thing about enlightenment, and this is my perspective on it, and I will understand that there are other people's positions and perspectives on it. I would say that a truly enlightened person would not feel the need to call themselves enlightened. They would allow other people to recognize them as enlightened. Because I'm adopting a beginner's mind, I'm assuming that I am a beginner in seeking enlightenment. So I'm not going to label how enlightened I am just going to continue to seek further enlightenment. I'm going to win at enlightenment. Well, you got a lot of catching up to do. There are ascetic monks that live out in the woods and practice it every day, and they've practiced it every day since they were young. So, are you willing to commit to that level? I would say just find a level of enlightenment that works for you. You know, find something that suits you and your lifestyle. Enlightenment is one of those games where everybody who plays wins, and the more you play, the further you go, the more you win. The only people that fail, or the only people that lose at the game of enlightenment, is the ones who are unwilling to try, unwilling to play. There's a system, and some practices of like meditation and these types of philosophies will have like levels to their enlightenment. Let's see if we can find one. The 4 stages of awakening. So the way that you would achieve the highest possible level of enlightenment, according to these Buddhist teachings, is how much are you willing to let go of? The fewer tethers you have that tie you to your mortal life, the closer you can come to achieving enlightenment. The only way to achieve true absolute enlightenment is to let go of absolutely everything. So according to these teachings, there would be 4 levels just based upon, your doubt, your level of commitment to the process, letting go of ill will, letting go of desire. Yeah, that's what they would say, is there are levels to enlightenment, and it all has to do with how much are you willing to let go of. You're willing to let go of all desire. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. But speaking of, let's wrap up this presentation. I have some questions for you, just some thoughts to consider. What's one thing from last year you want to leave behind? I've got some suggestions for you. Self-doubt, self-sabotage, resentment, guilt, anger, shame, fear. That's asceticism. I don't know if Buddhist monks would really agree with that. Yeah, the terms are kind of overlapping, but like there's different levels of commitment to the practice. And even dating back thousands of years, like there were ascetic practitioners of these types of, and they're like, oh yeah, this is something you can do, but it's gonna take you 40, it's gonna take you 60 years to get there. You're gonna be an old man living in the forest eating tree bark, and you're gonna be as happy as you can possibly be. It just took you 40 years to get there. All right, everybody, if there's something that you want to let go of, if you want to leave this behind from the last year, just go ahead and hand it over. Just go ahead and give it right here. I will dispose of it for you. Hand it over. It's starting to get kind of heavy. I can feel my hand getting weighed down. Ooh, alright, this is a heavy one. Probably felt good to let that one go, didn't it? Oh yeah, I'm feeling it. My arm's getting tired. Alright, I can only hold so much more, so this is your last call. Anything that you do not need, anything that you want to let go of. Guilt, fear, shame, anger, resentment, unadulterated loathing. Hand it over. Alright, I'm at capacity. That's gonna be it. You know what I'm gonna do with this? Ooh. All right. We'll let my stomach acid take care of that. We're gonna let the stomach acid take care of it. Don't worry, I got plenty of antacids. Yeah, that's right. We're gonna dissolve it. All right, I got another question for you. What is one habit or mindset that you want to embrace this year? We talked about some examples here today. Did any of those sound interesting to you? Maybe practicing some more Zen mindset or, healthy behavioral habits or changes, All of this was just for a Tums ad. I would take a Tums sponsorship if I'm being honest. I would take a Tums sponsorship. This isn't Tums though. This is the Kirkland. I got this from Costco. This is the generic brand. I got the big size. I've been popping these bad boys back every day since the election. I want to meditate. Have you tried my beginner's guided meditation? If you've never meditated before or you're new at meditation, I have a guided meditation made for beginners on my YouTube channel. I took a philosophy course on Indian philosophy, and he traveled to India often. He said that some of the true masters could cough up their own intestines. Right? It's like there are people out there who are seeing what is possible just to see if they can do it. Like that guy who was like, I'm going to hold my right hand up. And I'm going to keep it up. Or that guy who had his head welded into a metal cage so that he could never lie down. You know, just there's all sorts of like really extreme practices that people do to try to find these higher levels of enlightenment. And it's like, you don't have to go that far with it. People will, because that's what people do. They like to see how far things can go, but you don't have to go a quarter that distance to get some really profound effects. Yeah, this guy, he kept his arm raised for nearly 50 years now. He's like, I'm gonna put my arm up, and then he puts his arm up, and then he never takes it back down, and now it's stuck that way. Commitment to the bit. Talk about commitment to the bit. You don't have to be that committed to the bit. You can learn from these things without pushing them to their utter extremes. Just know that there are people out there who do that because that's just what people like to do. They like to see how far they can go with things. Standing babas are interesting too. Oh yeah, there are like ascetic monks and people who will do some really extreme stuff, and it's just like, not for me, thank you. Like, I appreciate your commitment to the idea, but that's just not really for me. My last question for you is, what's a small fresh start you can make this week? What's a small fresh start you can make this week? Start a new planner. That's what I need to do. Every year, Casey gets new planners for the two of us, and I never use mine, and I always feel bad for not using it, even though she ordered it for me. So I'm gonna try to make more of an effort to use my planner this year. I think I've been a little bit too laissez-faire with my time management. I think I need to reel it in a little bit. I'm gonna make you work. Oh, I'm gonna make you work. I wish that lying on your couch and eating potato chips and playing video games made you mentally healthy. I wish it did. I wish it worked that way, because that's what I would do. Miraculous breakthrough in mental health. The gamer method. I have found enlightenment through Call of Duty. I'm so stressed at work right now, I'm having trouble keeping track of things. Take a 2 to 5 minute break to just focus and recenter. We're planning a family trip to Boston this summer. Hell yeah. I haven't eaten. So you're just running on fumes right now, and you're like, why am I out of sorts? What could this be? And it's the same mystery that it's been every time. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot to eat again. All right, everybody, this is the fresh start effect. We were expanding a bit on a topic from yesterday. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully we feel motivated to make some changes. Oh, hey, babe.
I'm getting ready to go to Walmart.
You going to Walmart?
Yes. Is there anything you need?
Um,
While I'm there.
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, I'll be there for a little bit. So if there's anything
What
you
type
need,
of stuff are you going for?
Huh?
What are you going for?
Just to look.
Just to look?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have everything we need to make dinner, so I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. All right, I'll post this slideshow in the Discord for you. I'll go and upload that if anybody wants a copy for their notes. We got some studious folk in here, and they like a copy of the handouts. All right, so if you enjoyed the presentation and you want a copy of the slides, they're on the Discord here in the Show Talk channel. You can find them right here. Love a good handout. You know me, I love a good handout. I love reference material. All right. We've got some questions in the question box. Let's go ahead and jump back over. Take a look at what we've got in here. How do I lock in for studying? It seems like I am just terrible with time management. I need an insane amount of last-minute pressure to get anything done, and now even that is starting to not be enough. Sometimes I straight up miss the deadline. I know this is not sustainable at all. What can I do as the new semester is about to start, and I do not want to repeat of the insane amount of stress that comes with procrastinating that happens during finals. All right, allow that stress to become your motivation. You know, you're looking to avoid that, and this is a great opportunity to start practicing some new habits. So what you have learned here is that the way that you were doing it isn't working for you, and something needs to change so that things can be less stressful. When it comes to studying, what I would encourage you to do is to be realistic with the amount of time that you would take to study on a given day before you start to get bored, before your mind starts to wander, before you get hungry, before you get up and find something else to do, how long can you actually sit down and study for? Can you do it for half an hour? Can you do it for an hour? What I would encourage you to do is review things from your classes periodically throughout the week as just a regular study practice. You're just brushing up on the stuff that you were learning. And this makes for much less stress at the end of the semester when you got to go back over everything. You're just keeping up with it as you're learning it so that it can help to sink in better. And then when the end of the semester gets there, it's just review. You know, the stuff is pretty well ingrained. So I would say try to make some time to study at least a little bit, a few times a week. Just to go back over your notes, find out the stuff that you're kind of confused on so that you can ask somebody, you can ask a classmate, you can ask the teacher, you know, just to fill in those gaps in your knowledge. And so you are learning things progressively. You are accumulating knowledge. And that is how you will do well in school. Cramming it all in at the end, it can work, but it's very stressful and it's oftentimes not very effective. So my recommendation is to try to make a little bit of time throughout every week to review the things that you learned that week. You know, this could be a daily thing, this could be a weekly thing. Find something that works for you, but identify what works for you and how long you can do it and how to work it into your schedule. That's going to be up to you. I like professors who say highlight this. Oh yeah, absolutely. I love it when professors tell you the stuff that you need to know for the exams, when they tell you what the core concepts are, and I feel like that's a sign of a good professor. A good professor knows that not every single thing that they're going to teach you is going to be relevant forever or relevant to what you're going to need to do in life. You know, like in thinking back, there are some obscure theories in psychology that I learned in school that I just cannot remember for the life of me because they were never relevant. Like, oh yeah, I don't really need to know about who came up with that theory, you know, but that's the kind of stuff they ask on tests. Also, if you like flashcards are a really great way to study. People who have to learn a lot of stuff for a test will normally use things like flashcards as a way to reinforce them in their memory. And so what I would encourage you to do is if you're interested in doing flashcards, make them during class, make them throughout the semester, so that you're not making a ton of flashcards at the last minute to try to study them. You know, if you learn a key term or phrase or concept from the class, you know, make a flashcard for it and then add it to your collection of flashcards. The key in handling this stress is to spread it out. Instead of having it all piled up at the end, spread it out throughout the semester. Makes it much more manageable, much more smooth. Also, find out, you know, what it is about your environment that might distract you from studying. Like, do you need to go somewhere else to study? Do you need to go to the library? Do you need to go, you know, somewhere else to do the studying? Because sometimes getting out of, like, your room or you're, wherever you're at, that can be helpful, because when you're at home, it's like, oh yeah, there's all sorts of stuff to distract yourself with. Sometimes you need to recognize that I am distractible and I need to minimize my distractions. Those are my recommendations. Hi, I'm gay. Oh, hi, gay. I'm gonna try to stop drinking for a while. Good. Good. Anytime anybody tells me they're gonna stop drinking, I'm always on board. Alcohol can be all fun and good, but honestly, it often just causes us more problems. It's really just not all it's cracked up to be. I always want to go hard drinking and get super drunk and black out almost every time. And that to me says that we're trying to escape from something. So using alcohol as an escape is not a sustainable solution, because it's just going to end up in building up a tolerance, and then you're going to need to drink more and more and more, and then you're going to have to start drinking throughout the day to not get the shakes, and then you're going to, it's not going to take you anywhere good. It puts me in a suicidal mental state when I'm super drunk and I'm ready to change it. What do you think? Good. 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 Alcohol, one of the things that is not often talked about is just how much alcohol can really mess with your mind. People will often claim that alcohol just makes you more truthful, but that's not actually the case. Alcohol can actually make you delusional. The ramblings of a drunken person are not necessarily truthful. I've met people who became psychotic when they were drunk. They would literally experience symptoms of psychosis due to alcohol. So yeah, if you feel like alcohol is just causing you problems, I'd say it's a great time to change your relationship with it. Especially if you're in an abusive relationship with alcohol. If you have that feeling like you gotta go super hard and you gotta black out, yeah, that's an abusive relationship. There's a point and a purpose to alcohol, and it's to make people a little more, a little more open, a little less inhibited. It can take the edge off, it can make you more sociable. There's fun to be had, and that's why people enjoy it, and that's why it's so widely used and so popular. I guess a good question to really consider is, how many drinks do you need to actually have fun? I would say if you need more than 2 in order to have fun, and now this is obviously going to be up for, interpretation, because what constitutes as a drink could be that could be debated. I need 2 40-ounce Long Island iced teas. It's like, no. I would just say to be mindful of your level of consumption. If you feel like I have to go really hard and I have to just get absolutely sloshed, that's probably not sustainable. Haven't had alcohol in over a year. I enjoy wine, but the hangover route. Oh yeah, hangovers, for me at least, they have gotten much worse as I've gotten older. You know, I had bad hangovers when I was in my 20s because, you know, when I was in college and that was when I did most of my drinking, was when I was in my 20s. But yeah, like I've gotten drunk like only a handful of times since then, and it's just like no, I'm good, no more. The point of it is to have fun. You know, and if you're not having fun with it, then I think that something needs to change. You know, if you're blacking out, if it's making you suicidal, that doesn't sound fun. I get so much anxiety just going to the supermarket. So I wonder, what was it like in the Middle Ages? How did people handle the stress of, I don't know, getting guillotined for looking at a noble the wrong way? Wendy. Alright, so the guillotine was for the wealthy. We didn't just use the guillotine on anybody, and I'm just joking. That stress level that people experienced back then, whether it was in the Middle Ages or in prehistoric times, that stress level was still the same. And so that level of anxiety and stress that you're having about going to the supermarket is the same response that somebody would have to, there's a saber-toothed tiger outside. There's a saber-toothed tiger and he's staring right at us. That level of stress is still the same. So one of the things that I find to be helpful is reminding myself that when you're having this really powerful, anxious response, that is your body over-responding to a perceived danger. Going to the grocery store is preferable to fighting a saber-toothed tiger. And if you disagree, I would like to discuss that with you. Wait, really? Yeah. Yeah, it's not like people in the past were just more stressed all the time. Now, granted, they probably would be more stressed more regularly because, you know, when you've got to hunt and gather to survive, like that can be stressful. But for the most part, prehistoric people were just chilling. They were fine. They were just hanging out. We're still running on the same hardware that we were running, you know, 50,000 years ago. Also, peasants in the Middle Ages only worked 150 days a year. Hunter-gatherers worked part-time. Hunter-gatherers didn't even work 40 hours a week. Like, it's a misconception. You think that having to be like a hunter-gatherer means that you have to be out busting your ass 100 hours a week? Like, no. No, hunter-gatherers worked part-time. So just let that soak in. Hey, yo, Brain Domain, you helped me when I was feeling down. Maybe I am not a person I want to be yet, but I am a lot less stressed about it. Thanks, mate. Hey, you're welcome, friend. And remember, you're in the process of becoming that person, and that is something to be celebrated. So they weren't way more scared and anxious all the time? No, not really. They might have been a little bit more hysterical. Like, whenever they were anxious, there might be a lot more running and screaming and yelling, but that's just because that was just the way things were back then. Would you replace your body with a synthetic body in the future? Nah. Nah. Not for me. That sounds like a digital hell. It's like, hey, we've uploaded your consciousness into a machine. We're gonna distort your sense of time. We're gonna make it feel like every second that passes takes 1,000,000 years. No thanks. Miss me with that. Like, no, yeah, I miss me with the digital hell. I'm not on board. I don't need a robot body that badly. Can you imagine storing your consciousness on a server under capitalism? Right? It's like they're gonna have your fucking avatar mining Bitcoin. You're gonna be in a digital mine with a digital pickaxe harvesting Bitcoin for some trillionaire. So yeah, when you think back to humans in the past, just remember that we are largely unchanged. If you took a time machine and went back to the Ice Ages and you found a baby, there's just a baby here. I'm not stealing anybody's baby. There's a baby here, and I don't think anybody's coming back for it. And I just want to make it clear, I'm not time traveling to kidnap a child. Let's say you time traveled back and you just found a baby in the Ice Age, and then you brought it back to modern times. There might be some, like, slight physical differences, but for the most part, this person looks and acts like a modern human. It's the same. They got the same hardware, the same brain we do. Do you feel like you have to always do what Caseytron asks or says since she pays for everything? Does that make you feel trapped that you can't say no if you aren't in the mood sometimes? Oh no, I say no all the time. I say no all the time. I like to help because I like to be a good partner. I like to help. I mean, our finances are shared. Like, if there's something I want, like, I can get it. I can buy it. It's like, it's really a great arrangement. I've got no complaints. Oh yeah, no, I don't mind being helpful. I don't mind being a good partner. I don't mind being supportive, and you know, if I can also say no when necessary. Yeah, I don't feel trapped or anything. No, we've got a good relationship. I like it. Hi, Joshua in chat. I am gay. Again? 2 gays today. They're multiplying. Hold on, let's do that math. That's gonna add up really quickly. If on January 1st you start with 1 gay, and then on January 2nd you now have 2 more gays, so that's 3 gays, and then you've got 3 gays on the 3rd, 4 gays on the 4th. That's gonna... Or no, wait, no, it doubles every time, so it's 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. We're gonna have, like, billions of gays very soon. It's the power of exponential growth. This is gonna be the future. Our digital avatars being forced to mine cryptocurrency in a simulated digital reality. Yeah, don't upload your consciousness to a capitalist's server, okay? You can't trust a capitalist to just have access to your digital avatar like that. That's not gonna end well. They're gonna turn your excess bandwidth into mining cryptocurrency. I've been struggling with motivation. With driving as an analogy, I know where I want to go, I have a goal, I press the acceleration pedal and the car doesn't respond. I can coast in neutral, but it's a struggle and I can't really get any momentum. On fleeting occasions, I feel super intrinsically motivated and I pursue things almost effortlessly. You know what this sounds to me is ups and downs. Getting up the hill is really hard, but then once you're at the top of the hill, it's really easy to go, woof, almost effortlessly. That's momentum. It's the hard part of getting yourself pushed to the top of the hill so that you can have that momentum, and that momentum can carry you up the next hill. It's getting up that first hill that's really hard. Is it apathy? I don't think so. I don't understand how I can have goals that I care about and find impossible to start most of the time. Getting started is the hardest part. The second hardest part is deciding when you're done. Take time for momentum to build. If your car isn't responding to the acceleration, get out and push it a little bit. Keep building that momentum. Momentum tends to build very slowly at the start, but then once you have some momentum, that's when things really start to pick up. I think what might be helpful is to take your goals and make them more You know, break them down a little bit. Break it down into steps. Those big goals down into smaller goals. That way they feel easier to start when it doesn't feel so daunting when we're approaching a smaller goal. But if we're considering everything that we need to do to achieve this much larger goal, that's going to feel overwhelming and we're going to feel like, ugh, how am I going to get through this? The most important step is the next step. So don't worry about every step that you have to make. Just worry about that next step you have to make. Today is where your book begins. Now, let me just say this, because I think you'll find some comfort in knowing this. This is a common feeling to have. And that's because getting started is the hard part. So I would say just try to reel it in a little bit. If you have a goal, break it down into a smaller goal. Even if the goal feels relatively small already, break it down even smaller. You know, as small of steps as possible, because each one of those steps that you make working towards that goal is a victory. That's momentum accumulating. So you gotta start small and build yourself up as you're building that momentum. It's physics. It's true. It's physics. It's like Sisyphus pushing that boulder up the hill. The hardest part is getting started, but once the boulder's rolling, it gets a little bit easier to keep it rolling. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. I would say on those fleeting occasions, which those are nice, aren't they? Those moments where you feel super motivated and things just come naturally to you. Consider that a preview. Consider that a preview of how things can be in the future. That's something that you're working for. You're getting a trial of what future you could be doing. That's life giving you a little bit of a taste of the potential that you've got. Well, it's been 3.5 hours, and I'm going to take a moment to chill a little bit. If you like this content, if you like this community, consider supporting by subscribing to this channel. Pretty close to our sub goal there. We're trying to hang out right at around 300, so we're pretty close. We're pretty close. You know, you being here and supporting the stream is what makes it possible, so thank you. Thank you to everybody who watches, everybody who chats, everybody who subscribes, everybody who spams emotes. You're all valuable. So thank you all for being here. You know, of all the places that you could be, you chose to be here. And that means a lot to me. Rockophile with the Prime sub. Hell yeah, brother. Thank you. Thank you for the Prime sub. And the lurkers. Lurkers, get out here. Lurkers, get out here. Come on. Your New Year's resolution to not be a lurker anymore and to transition into a full-fledged chatter, today's the day. So come on out. Come on out and say hi. The water's fine. You got nothing to worry about. I love converting lurkers into chatters. It's one of my favorite things about streaming. One of my favorite things psychologically is helping people to come out of their shell. I love it. I love growth. I love it when somebody embraces their potential. Sorry if I talk too much sometimes. No, you don't talk enough, actually. I need you talking more. Also, this is what you get for apologizing. You get bonked. We don't do apologies here. This is an apology-free zone. Well, right now we're all caught up in the question box, so what do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? Can we talk about personality types? Have you, like on the Myers-Briggs, have you taken a personality test? Here's an interesting article. Othello syndrome, jealousy in the right side of the brain. A new study investigated a case of Othello syndrome after a stroke in the thalamus. What is Othello syndrome? It's a psychosis in which someone shows pathological jealousy and strongly believes their partner may be unfaithful, even though there is no real proof of cheating. Someone with Othello syndrome might even go so far as harming the partner that they suspect of cheating. It's not a distinct diagnosis. It would be more of like a delusional disorder. So there was a study where they found that someone who had been happily married for a long time had a stroke on the right side of the brain, and it affected the thalamus on the right half of their brain. And what ended up happening as a result of that was they ended up becoming incredibly jealous and violent, even going so far as to attack their husband with a bladed weapon on 2 occasions. Her thoughts became hyper-fixated on her husband's alleged infidelity, and she did show little interest in anything else. Eventually, the doctors were able to help her with antipsychotic medication. Very interesting. That's tied to the right side of the brain. The thalamus. This little guy. Here's a good picture of the 2 halves of it. Your brain is like mirrored on the 2 sides, and so the only exception is your pituitary gland, which is the centermost point of your brain. It's the only part of your brain that doesn't have a corresponding mirrored side. It's the centermost structure, and everything else is. Which is also why, in some very simple vertebrate creatures, they basically just have a overly large pituitary gland. They don't even really have much of a brain beyond that. My boyfriend had this. Oh. A lot of people have this, I fear. Yeah. A lot of these structures in the brain are responsible for like hormone production and emotional regulation. The thalamus is one of those parts. You also have your hypothalamus, which is just a little part that's attached to it, and then you got your pituitary gland kind of dangling off the end there. Interesting. One time I was on my ass playing Zelda for 4 hours, and he came rushing in saying he just heard a man run out of the room and hide in the attic. Oh yeah, that's delusional. Like that might even be hallucinations. Like you might actually, it could go so far as you're actually like hearing things that aren't real. You're so caught up in this delusion that you're actually experiencing things that are unreal. You think you're hearing people. And the thing about it is like you want to be supportive and you want to, like show them comfort, and you want to be like, no, like I'm not cheating on you, like, but they just keep up with it. It's just so persistent. It's like you've got no choice but to eventually just like, all right, either you need to get help or I need to get out of here because this is too stressful. So jealousy is hardwired into us, but also regulated. I would say that comparison is hardwired in, but jealousy is maladapted comparison. That's what I would say. Because to compare yourself to other life forms, to compare yourself to other people, to compare yourself to yourself, those are things that we are wired to do. It's what gives us context. It's what allows us to, identify differences and changes. But jealousy is almost like a hyperfixation on those perceived differences. to stop and take a picture real quick because I had to take a little picture. Just to highlight the cuteness. Just look at that floof. I read something like 50% of women with Othello syndrome partners get seriously abused. Yeah. Othello syndrome is basically just an untreated psychosis. Like when you have delusions that are that consistent and that interfering with your life, like I would definitely say that that is psychosis. I just wanted to share my view with you because this is what's going on my desk right now. Yeah, it's 3 hours later and she's still napping up there. About to make chili. Nice. Oh, it's your cat's birthday? Oh, happy birthday, buddy. Happy birthday, buddy. Poopy, your breath smells like cat food. It's a cat break. Oh, you sleepy? You sleepy, Miss Poopy? She's been napping for hours on my desk. Alrighty. I think we're about wrapped up for today. I think that's going to be it for me today. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being a part of the discussion. Thank you all for being here. Hope you all had a good time. That's going to be it for now. See you all next time. I'll take care. Okay, bye-bye. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a great night. See you next time. Bye, everybody. Until next time. This has been the Brain Domain. Your brains feel washed. You feel like you got a good brainwashing in.